Guys, anybody who does any form of running will understand what I'm talking about when I say a 30-minute run. When you're running for that just 30 minutes, you have 3 million thoughts running through your head. Because sometimes when you're running, you're thinking about Christmas. My daughter's birthday is coming anytime soon now. And I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do for my daughter's birthday. But today I just couldn't resist the idea of thinking about how our country is getting destroyed right in front of our eyes. And you try to avoid it. It's like when you're struggling to sleep, you try to think about happy thoughts, but the thought of how South Africa is being destroyed in front of us, it just keeps just drilling on me, and I have to just come and say it because I feel like I just have to speak up, because at least if I say something, it's out there in the public, and I can take action on it. I can't be quiet. And I think a lot of South Africans can relate to that. So as I was running, I was just putting down a couple of points that I'm really stressing about when it comes to South Africa. And then one of the first one is just our crime and corruption. I was born in 1981, so I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, in the 90s, early 2000s. I mean, in 1998, I was 17 years old. So anybody who grew up in the 90s, kidnapping was in the movies. We didn't know anything about kidnapping. But we are sitting now in 2025, and kidnapping is on the list of the top 5 crimes in South Africa. How did that happen? It happened because we let a government that is so incompetent to run this country for way too long. We're not angry enough. We don't hate the ANC enough. We give them too many chances, and every time they mess up, they destroy. You know what? I'm a black person. I can tell you one thing about black pride. Black pride is when you see somebody who looks like you being excellent and doing something great, and you feel like, wow, look at that guy. I can work hard and be just like him. The ANC has destroyed that. They destroyed our pride. I think I heard Prince Mashele say the other day that we are losing our pride as black people, as South Africans, to say we don't have a government that we can rely on, and they've destroyed any trace of black excellence. So now, every time you see a black face on TV, it's because they're in for corruption, or they're at the Madlanga Commission, or they're at the ad hoc committee. So black faces now, very slowly, and then I think it's getting there very quickly. They represent corruption, incompetence, and taking shortcuts and having corrupt relationships with people, as opposed to building relationships so you can build a country. So our crime situation, just in our security in general, they destroyed the army. Now they've destroyed law enforcement. I was thinking growing up in the 90s, man, late 80s, 90s, the authority that the police carried, they carried so much authority that, and I have to keep checking that this thing is on because I don't want to get cut, because I can't repeat saying this. The authority that the police had, I think I mentioned in one of my videos the other day that my mom could, if I was out of order, my mom could just tell me that the police I'm coming, the police are coming. She would tell me that she was going to call the police. And the thought of police coming to get me into order because I'm behaving disorderly terrified me, because the police carried some sense of authority. So the ANC has destroyed that authority that law enforcement had. They destroyed it completely. So now we have a law enforcement that is a joke. Our army is a joke. So everything that the ANC has touched, they've destroyed it, completely destroyed it. So now let me talk about the economy, man. Let me tell you something. My mother never went to school. My mother was a domestic worker all her life. My mom never went to school. The only thing that I ever taught my mom was to sign on a piece of paper, how to do a signature. My mom was a domestic worker. My dad never finished school. My dad worked security for like 40 years, but they raised us. We had a decent home. My dad had 2 cars. We didn't have lack. They managed to put us through varsity. So when I think about the cost of living now, and the ANC is in charge of it, I think, how does a family of that is run by a domestic worker mom and somebody who works a very low paying job, how do they even survive a week? Because if you take 1,000 rand and go to the shops and you come back and you look at what you've bought, there's nothing there. And on top of that, they've created a social grant system where 28 million people are on social grant, which is half of the country, and then the cost of living is high. So they're creating a system where 5 years from now, we're going to be on 35 million people on social grants. 35 million people, more than half of the country. So the economy is totally destroyed because they destroyed the most fundamental pieces that put the economy together, that make the economy run. They destroyed the railways. They destroyed our infrastructure. So nothing actually works to the capacity that is designed to work at. And that's what the ANC has done. And I feel like we are not enraged enough to point out that, guys, you are destroying our country. I've got two kids. I've got two kids that I have to think about and say, you know what kind of a future will these kids have? What about my grandkids? And I know most Africans can relate to this. Those are the kind of things that go through my head when I'm running just for 30 minutes. Running for 30 minutes, I feel like I go through 30 years of thoughts. And I have to say it out. So the other one is education, guys. South Africa spends a big chunk of our budget on education, but we're not getting any value for money for it. Our education system has demonstrated that it doesn't produce the type of person that we want at the end of the process. You come through at grade 1, by the time you finish grade 12, you're not skilled in anything. You're not competent in anything. People in the 80s and 90s used to get jobs with grade 6. What does that tell you? Because the only way you evaluate the quality of your education, but by what you can do with that education. If somebody in the 80s and 90s had grade 7 and could get a job and then eventually become a manager or supervisor, it shows you that the quality was better, because that's the only way you can measure the quality of your education, by the skills that you have at the end of that education. They destroyed our education system completely. Teaching colleges. So everything is just universities now. So everybody is starting to be a manager. I don't know what they want to manage. So the whole system is not designed to build a productive population. No, it's designed just to create people who are not skilled in anything and they cannot build anything. Even with their own hands, they can't build a thing. Our healthcare. I'm not going to get into the corruption that happened in our healthcare, in the 2 billion rand that was looted in Tembisa Hospital. But look at how much money has been looted out of our economy and how many hospitals we could have built. Can you imagine how many hospitals? We could have built 100 hospitals since 1994, 100, with like 100 beds minimum. But what the ANC did when they came into power, or somewhere along the way, they realized that there's so much money in these entities that we can just loot it. And they did, with impunity. And South Africans have to suffer. You go to hospitals and there is so much money being put into healthcare that we should not be going through what we're going through when it comes to healthcare. We should have the best public hospitals in the world, because we put so much money in it, but we only get probably 10% of the value of that money. Because the ANC managed to destroy even the healthcare. They destroyed the hospitals that were even there before. So I'm just gonna end it there, man. So sometimes I'll be thinking about the infrastructure. I'm running at 4:30 in the morning, and the lights they're on sometimes they're off. Like, why can't we just have systems that work? Have the lights on. If there are potholes, just get it sorted out. It should be that simple, because you have people that are getting paid millions a year to sort out these issues, but these issues never get sorted. So in summary, all I'm saying is, guys, we don't hate the ANC enough, because they've destroyed our future, man. They're destroying the future of our kids and their kids. So the infrastructure and the systems that we had, they're destroyed to a point where it will take us another 30 years to rebuild. So those are just my thoughts as a South African, because anybody who does any form of running will relate to what I'm saying, that when you are running, sometimes you can have happy thoughts. Something nice has happened in your life. There's a new baby in the family, you're happy. But sometimes when you're running, you literally do some sort of introspection, and you look at your life, and you look at the things around you, and you end up thinking about your own country. So those are just my morning thoughts, guys. I can't say anything further than that. Until then, stay safe.